Story 1. Stepmother. One boy's mother died. A year later, his father met another woman and said he was going to marry her. When the boy saw this woman, he didn't like her. Something about her made the boy goosebumps. Though there was nothing scary about her, on the contrary, she was very beautiful. The boy did not say anything to his father, because he did not know how to explain why he was afraid. I have a daughter too. She is almost the same age as you. Her name is Jessica and you can play with her, the woman told the boy, and he thought maybe he was afraid for nothing. One day he and his dad went to visit this woman. When they walked in, the boy immediately saw her daughter. The girl was also very beautiful. She had long blonde hair, big dark eyes and very fair skin. The boy said hello, but the girl said nothing. She doesn't talk, the woman said, but she understands. The girl nodded. Go and play for a while, said the woman. Jessica, show him your dolls. The girl got up and went ahead, and the boy followed her. When they entered the room, the girl sat on the bed, took the doll and a comb, and began combing the doll's hair as long as the girl herself. The boy looked around the room. There were so many dolls in the room. The dolls were all different, and so well made that they seemed like real people, only small. Like gnomes from a fairy tale. But the boy got scared again. It seemed to him that the dolls were looking at him intently. Not to look at the dolls, the boy turned to the girl and watched her play with the doll. And he almost screamed, only now seeing that the girl had no hands, prosthetic arms were replacing them. The boy stared at Jessica, or rather at her hands, for a long time and could not take his eyes off them. Sometimes he thought they were real hands, the way the girl handled them so well. But still, he wanted to get out of the room where the dolls were watching his every move, and out of this house in general. Children, go eat, the boy heard and hurriedly left the room. But then suddenly he felt someone grab his arm. He turned around and saw Jessica. She was holding his hand with her prostheses and shaking her head as if she wanted to say no. Do you still want to play? The boy asked, but the girl kept shaking her head. No? I don't understand what you want, said the boy. But then a woman appeared and Jessica immediately let the boy go. Hurry up, said the woman, or the food will get very cold. They sat down at the table and began to eat. The food was very good, especially the chicken wings, which he liked very much, though they had a strange sweet taste. Daddy liked them too. And after eating, the boy completely forgot about his fears. And he was even a little surprised that he was afraid of the woman and Jessica. He thought the woman was actually very nice, and Jessica was nice too, just a little weird. Did you like it? Dad asked as they walked home. The boy nodded. He no longer remembered what he had been afraid of at all. He only remembered how good it had been to visit. But the boy woke up at night with severe stomach pain. The pain was so intense, as if something was cutting into his insides with sharp claws. It's not something, the boy suddenly realized, it's handed. Jessica's hands. Which we ate like chicken wings. That's why the meat had a sweet taste. After all, it was human meat. And now those hands were alive and trying to get out. The boy screamed. Out of fear and pain. And he heard his daddy screaming in the other room. The last thing the boy could think of was that soon Jessica would have 2 more dolls. The boy and his daddy were not found until a few days later. Dead, with their bellies ripped open. Story 2. Dream. There was one boy. His mother and father were always at work, so no one looked after him. The children at school were very afraid of him because the boy often laughed at them and took their money. But most of all, the boy laughed at one girl. This girl had black hair and black eyes, and that's why they called her a gypsy. Or maybe she really was a gypsy. She had no parents and was brought to school by an old woman whose back was arched like a question mark. No one knew why the boy hated the girl, but no one stood up for her, because the girl had no friends at all at school. Once they even called the boy's parents to the principal's office after the boy tripped the girl and she fell and broke her nose until it bled. But it didn't help. On the contrary, the boy began to mock the girl even more. Once he even pushed the girl right in front of the old woman. And when the old woman began to scold him loudly, he only laughed, because he knew that she could not keep up with him. "Wait," said the old woman, "I know who will punish you." The next night the boy had a dream. He and some other children were tied up on the stone floor. The boy was scared, but he could not understand why. He twisted his head, trying to see the one he couldn't see, but he heard his heavy breathing and his eerie whistling laughter. The boy also saw a large wooden table, stained with red and black paint. And behind the table could be seen the black womb of the furnace, where the flames roared. "It's not painted," the boy suddenly realized, "it's blood." The dream was terrible, but it was only a dream that was immediately forgotten in the morning. However, the boy was in the same dream the next night. And he even began to guess why there was blood on the table, and why there was a fire in the stove. The boy stayed at home all day. He was very afraid. At night he tossed and turned for a long time, afraid to sleep. But when he fell asleep his fear became even greater, because he finally saw the one who was breathing so heavily. He was huge and fat. His knotty arms were covered with unhealed, oozing wounds, sewn up with coarse threads. His face was covered with a mask, but the boy recognized at once the eyes behind the mask. He had seen such black eyes in the gypsy girl and the old woman who used to come to school for her. The fat man looked at the children lying tied on the floor and began to count loudly. "People, beasts, I am nobody. Do you think that's all?" When the boy woke up in the morning, he dressed quickly and ran straight to school. He realized who could save him. He would ask for forgiveness. He waited outside the school for 3 hours before it became clear that the gypsy would not come. And that meant the old woman wouldn't come either. And at night he found himself in the same dream again. The fat man was counting again, pointing his finger at the children lying on the floor. "People, beasts, I am nothing. Do you think that's it? Sticks and darkness. No one wants me." All the next day the boy tried to find out where the gypsy and the old woman lived. But the children looked at the boy and could not understand anything. None of them knew such a girl. Even the teachers shook their heads negatively, and the principal himself did not remember summoning the boy's parents to school. The boy's parents didn't remember anything either. And when the boy told them about the scary dream, they just shrugged their shoulders and said that dreams are not real, and nothing will happen to him. The boy lay in bed all night trying to stay awake, but even as he lay with his eyes open, he could hear the fat man continuing his counting. "Men, beasts, I am nothing. Do you think that's all? Sticks, darkness. I am nothing. Rats, worms, lives a game. I've fallen to nothing." As it began to dawn outside the window, the voice fell silent. The boy struggled to get out of bed. He was very sleepy, but he knew he had to find the gypsy girl. He had to go to school again. He had to ask the other children. Maybe someone would remember. And if they didn't, then the boy would go all over town, asking everyone, but he would still find the girl and the old woman. Because he already knew who the little counting book would point him to in his dreams. The boy's parents went to work. And no one saw that the boy fell asleep sitting on the bed with his pants up. And if anyone had seen him, they could hardly have woken him up. People, animals, me, nobody. Do you think that's it? Sticks, darkness. No one wants me. Rats, worms, life is a game. I've fallen to nowhere. Light, dawn, and silence. I'll never wake up.